Breaking today. The woman in charge of our economy is so crooked, such a liar, that she couldn't lie straight in bed. You know, I think Rachel Reeves is going to end up in prison. This woman will be a jailbird. Lock her up, because the fraud conducted on the British people is so sickening. And if she were someone on the right, she would already be under police investigation now. But what's so shocking is that her lies actually date back right to the start of her political career. And what's so egregious is that the lies that she tells just come out so constantly, even it has now emerged today, even about this claim that she was the junior chess champion, something that for years she has boasted about. So here's the revelation from the Times newspaper, who reveals Rachel Reeves has long made political hay using her prowess as a national chess champion to demonstrate her strategic mind and competitive spirit. I was a geek. I played chess. I was the British girls under 14 champion, she told The Guardian in an interview in July 2023. She posed with a chessboard in photographs taken before the budget and has repeatedly spoken of overcoming sexism to beat the boys. However, a former junior champion has now accused her of misrepresenting her credentials when she claimed that she had been the British girls under 14 champion, saying in reality, she was joint 26th out of 34. So this is Alec Edmonds, a professor of finance at the London Business School, and he has said that Reeves actually shared the title for another smaller tournament. The British girls under 14 champion in 1993 was actually the composer Emily Howard. Now, in some ways, this is something that you could just shrug off Howard Cox and say, oh, you know, it's a little white lie. But I'm sorry, when this is a woman whose lies permeate every single aspect of her life, from her time at HBOS when actually she was in the complaints department, not working as an economist, to the budget, which has cost some people their life savings. I'm sorry, this matters. She is a corrupted, crooked liar. It doesn't matter that she's a woman. It doesn't matter that she sobs in Parliament. We cannot trust a word that comes out of her mouth. Dan Wootton Outspoken is available as a podcast too. So to listen or watch us on the go, wherever you are, then please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as a personal favour to me, please rate and review, as it really helps our independent show.
Absolutely right. I mean, she has the second, probably the most important post at the moment regarding our cost of living issues and crisis that's going along in our life, and she is running it. How can you have someone who's incompetent with numbers, incompetent with strategy, and lies about things? She has got some sort of a issue with in telling the truth, and I'm afraid most of the front bench feel the same on the Labour front benches. And to see her do what she's doing, I'm reasonably pleased with what happened in the budget, because for 2 years, which I didn't expect to happen, I've managed to get fuel duty frozen for 2 years. And so I did actually say I couldn't be churlish about it. I thanked her for that, but you couldn't thank her for anything else, because she's lied about the tax increases on working people. They can't even define a working person properly. They've hit small businesses, and they've hit farmers, they've hit pensioners, they're hitting everyone. And all of those things weren't in their manifesto. They are all pathological liars.
They really are. And I mean, Dan Hodges, who's a Labour columnist, he is the one who, along with me, is advocating for the fact, Father Calvin Robinson, that there needs to be a criminal investigation, that she can't just lose her job. You know, she might actually have to face the loss of her liberty as well. And based on the OBR Select Committee hearing, he posted utterly damning for Rachel Reeves, makes clear the extent to which Reeves and her aides were themselves deliberately leaking sensitive data to try and manage political expectations, and when that went wrong, to deliberately try and stabilise the markets. I mean, it's just astonishing to me that this is not leading every single mainstream media bulletin. But Father Calvin, she's their girl. They're going to stand by her. They're going to stand by her, even though she lied to The Guardian about being the British girls under 14 chess champion, when in fact she was joint 26th out of 34 competitors. I mean, she's actually a failure in every aspect of her life.
Well, I think this is why she keeps lying so much. She wants to be seen as a success, and she should be seen as a success for being in the position that she's in. But that's not enough, and so she keeps making these things up about what her role was at HBoss and how she was so great at chess. And if none of it's true, then what is true? She's clearly lied and fraudulently taken up positions that she shouldn't be in. You're absolutely right. There should be an investigation, not just on her position, but a criminal investigation. And worse than that, lying is a sin. If someone wants to represent the British people in that prestigious house and continuously lies to the British people, they should be held account by the British people.
Now,
Yeah,
Howard
here.
Cox, I mean, you've obviously done incredible work when it comes to fuel duty, and I give you massive congratulations for that. But I've been very concerned to hear that a whole load of the mainstream media organizations that you had worked with on this campaign for, as you say, 15 years have snubbed you, cancelled you, no longer champion your cause, even though you continue to champion their viewers and listeners. And your belief, Howard Cox, and you say that you have been told this by insiders at these broadcasters like GB News, these newspapers like The Sun, that the reason that they have turned on you is nothing to do with Fair Fuel UK, nothing to do with this very important campaign which you wage on behalf of British motorists every year, but rather because of your support of Tommy Robinson. Is that really true?
Oh, it's absolutely true.
So
And just
what's
going back
happened?
to,
What do you know? But first, quick word on something I rely on every single day: Surfshark. In a world where governments, big tech, and opportunist hackers are all vying for your data, keeping your browsing private isn't optional, it's essential. And here in the UK, we've even seen sites and reporting, some of our own, at Outspoken, pushed behind the Online Safety Act. So that's why I use Surfshark VPN. It shields what I do online, helps me steer clear of censorship, and lets me access the content I pay for wherever I am, even when I'm traveling and want to catch up on shows or sport that don't appear in the particular zone. But Surfshark isn't just a VPN. It's a full toolkit for safer browsing. Clean web block ads, trackers, malware, and phishing links so pages load cleaner and faster. It's a beautiful experience, actually. And if your connection ever drops, Kill Switch cuts the internet so your data doesn't leak. And if you need certain apps like online banking to skip the VPN, Bypasser handles that with a couple of clicks. There are 3,200 plus servers in over 100 countries, so you can switch locations in seconds. Great for finding better online deals. I have to be honest with you, I have snagged some cheaper flights thanks to Surfshark. And you can run Surfshark on unlimited devices too, which means your whole household is covered in one plan. If you want to lock down your data, defend your online freedom, and support Outspoken, head to surfshark.com/outspoken or use the code OUTSPOKEN at checkout to get an extra 4 months of Surfshark VPN. That's surfshark.com/outspoken or use the code OUTSPOKEN for an extra 4 months on us. You can click in the description box below this video too. But now back to the show.
well, there's a lot of things to say, but I wrote for a very major national newspaper, i.e. The Sun, on a regular basis. And it all started, the writing of the war happened for when I declared my position for the Standards London Mayor. At that point, The Sun hated the reform and Nigel Farage. Suddenly my amount of writing I did dropped considerably. And to cut a long story short, I had to accept that, but I still had 1.7 million supporters, backing me to make sure we kept fuel duty cut. And I managed to get that across because I work with parliamentarians directly. And that's how it worked, with petitions, with receptions, with letters to the Chancellor, with supporters writing to their MP. And bear in mind, there's about 2,000 to 2,500 of Fairfield UK supporters in each constituency. So we do have a bit of leverage with MPs. And there's also, to be fair, a lot of Labour MPs that are petrol heads. But the point, what I've got, I wanted to say, I haven't said this to anyone before, but Calvin Robinson did say, actually, I haven't been on GB News much. I was, regarding the Fairfield UK and the budget, I'm normally on regularly. And I did get a phone call saying, would I like to be on it, on the Andrew Pierce and the other girls show
Miriam
in the morning
Kate.
breakfast show? And I said, yes, of course I can. And the first thing they said, the producer said, yes, but don't mention anything to do with Tommy Robinson or Advance UK. That's what the producer told me.
Oh my God.
So I said, okay, no way. That's it. I'm not bothering. I did. My
So
principles
what? So
come
they
first.
said you would be allowed to come on, but under the condition that you did not mention Advance UK, you did not mention Tommy Robinson.
Well, I think I prompted it by saying, can you get my title right? I'm founder of Fairfield UK and a college member of Advance UK. That's what I wanted to do. And they said, no, we won't put that one in. Definitely not. And by the way, don't talk about Tommy Robinson. Now, it was quite a young producer. I don't want that producer to get shot through. He's obviously don't shoot the messenger, classic case. But I'm not going to go on there. And I bumped into a very senior person, a broadcaster on Talk TV, and on the train, I believe it. And this person I'm very, very fond of indeed. And he said the same thing to me. It's Tommy Robinson's the issue, reason why you're not being used anymore. We all still love you. We all love what you've done. But I said, what's that got to do with the price of fuel coming in and what Tommy does? I mean, all I've said, and as you know, Dan, you started the ball rolling last autumn, I think, when you asked me what I think of Tommy Robinson. I said I didn't know him from Adam, but I do respect what he's done in terms of highlighting the rape gang issue. And I got that phone call, didn't I? I got that WhatsApp text from Richard Tice say, if I continue to talk about Tommy Robinson, I will be expelled from the party. So, and this is happening in the media now, and I'm very, very worried about the media actually taking sides too much. And GB News is Reform UK's propaganda wing. It really is. And it's so sad about that, because I've got a lot of friends on there, like you have. And the same with Talk TV. And with The Sun, I've got some great people on there. And again, I've got no idea. Every year, before the financial statements in the spring and also the budgets in autumn or whenever they all appear, The Sun always took me out for lunch, about 6 weeks before. What have I heard? In fact, I got a phone call on the day of the budget, in the morning of the budget. I was actually doing another podcast with someone else. I got a phone call from The Sun, and they said, Howard, I'm sorry, mate, you've lost this time. It's going up 5p. And I said, no, I haven't. It's going to be frozen. And they said, no, it's not. And guess who was right?
You. I love it.
Yeah.
Father Calvin Robinson, what's your view hearing this? I mean, I imagine you're not surprised, but it's still horrifying, isn't it? Because obviously, for a lot of people who still rely on the mainstream media, they genuinely believe that Talk TV and GB News are free speech channels because that's how they've promoted themselves. But there's so many instances, even in recent weeks. I mean, look at the defenestration of Mike Graham from Talk TV, for example, that proves it's just not the case. It's just not true. It's not true, these claims. They are not focused on free speech whatsoever. They're focused on promoting a very narrow range of views on the right.
Well, the entirety of the mainstream media, of the legacy media, is liberal. And that's a shame, because most British people aren't liberal. Most British people are socially conservative. And so there's no outlet that represents them in the mainstream. And that's sad, because we need those voices to be heard. I think it's on purpose. I do think it's a control mechanism to try and keep the people as liberal as possible, because the people in the establishment of, the hierarchy of the BBC, Sky, and the rest of the legacy media are just like the people in the government. They sneer at working class British folk, and they want us all to be a bit more liberal progressive like they are. But that's not right. We deserve to have free speech. We deserve to have our own thoughts and opinions, our own values systems, our own belief structures, and we shouldn't be lectured to by the Islington elite. And for GB News to take this stance is disappointing, because the whole purpose of them was to be an alternative voice, and to have these blacklists that are very under the table between the producers. Or we can't mention that person, don't mention Tommy, don't mention Katie, blah, blah, blah. That is wrong. It's undermining their very core mission.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.